guys, Christine here. Today I'm going to tell you about my experience biking Japan's most beautiful cycling route, the Shimanami Kaido. From a couple of people that the Shimanami Kaido cycling route was a must-do item on your Japan bucket list, especially if you're an English teacher like I am and you're living in Japan for a couple years. The Shimanami Kaido is a 70-kilometer cycling route along the Seto Inland Sea, and it connects the islands of Honshu and Shikoku. It is made up of 6 islands and 7 bridges. I had originally heard about the Shimanami Kaido cycling route from a couple of my coworkers at the school I work at, and around the same time Abroad in Japan had released a video. He was cycling all of Japan, and this was the most beautiful cycling route, so it really stood out to me. I ended up Googling what I should be doing. Am I really going to be able to do a 70-kilometer bicycle ride? Because I don't bicycle regularly, I don't run regularly, I don't do exercisey things regularly, so the idea of going from 0 to 70 kilometers of cycling in one day seemed a little bit crazy to me. But the internet assured me it's possible, and you can do it. And to me I said, oh great, perfect, it's possible. If it's possible, I can do it. I'm an average person. I can do what an average person can do. But I maybe should have read past the you can do it too, but really you should do it in 2 days. This happened last year during the Super Golden Week. It was a 10-day Golden Week because of the succession of the Emperor. Usually Golden Week is about 4 holidays and it can be stretched over the course of a week. But because this was such a special occasion, they decided to have it be a 10-day holiday. We decided, hey, let's kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Let's do the epic bike ride on the Shimanami Kaido, and let's take a road trip down to Shikoku and see 4 prefectures that we hadn't been to before. My friend and I really like to go around and try to visit as many prefectures as we can, so this seemed like the perfect idea. She also really likes bike riding, so what could go wrong? During Golden Week, I pulled up my phone, we were on the way down in the car, and there was nothing. Everything was at 100% capacity. And I'm not just talking about Onomichi, we were trying to stay in Onomichi. I mean, if you pulled out the map, it was like everything was red, nothing was available. So that was a little bit difficult for us. We woke up and we got to the parking garage at about 9 o'clock in the morning, and it was completely full. Then we went to the bike rental shop, and we walked in and we're like, okay, maybe we'll get a nice bike, because we heard that you can either get the regular low-tier bike or like a fancy bike. We walk in and sold out. We're like, okay, that's just one shop. We heard that there are a ton of shops here, so we walked down the street, sold out, sold out. Sold out, sold out. People reserve their bikes in advance for Golden Week. People reserve everything in advance for Golden Week. I knew Golden Week was a big deal, but I had totally underestimated how big of a deal this was to people in Japan. Like the whole vacation was going up in flames. We had no idea what we were gonna do. And so I am desperate to find a bike because I really want to do this, and I know it's not like they don't just have bikes this one day. They do not have bikes the entirety of this Golden Week holiday. Hello, do you have any bikes? And this man, he looks at me. And I can see the look in his eyes is something akin to, oh my god, this white girl, she has no idea what week it is. She has no idea. It's Golden Week! And I'm just standing there like, please. And he doesn't speak any English and I don't speak any Japanese, and we're just having this kind of panicked conversation with our eyes. But he turns back and he smiles. I'm like, oh my god. So I try not to jump up and down because I know these are like secret bikes. You can't be telling the whole world that we're getting these secret bikes, but we got bikes, and I was so thrilled that we got bikes. So finally, we start our bike ride. We get off the ferry. It's 10 a.m. at this point. We're full of excitement. We cannot wait to start the 70-kilometer bike ride. So we hop on the bikes and get going. And it's a beautiful day. The weather is really nice. We're so glad that we've picked this day. And it seems easy at first. Like, we're going, we go up these hills, and everything is beautiful. The islands are super beautiful, and we come up to our first bridge, and we get off the bikes, and we must take like 100 pictures of this bridge. And actually, the first bridge we ended up going over was really cool because instead of just like biking on the sidewalk, which we had to do for a lot of the bridges, this bike path was like a whole road under the bridge, just like kind of caged in. It was really cool. So we keep biking, and we're having a good time, and we're about 20 kilometers in, and my legs are still feeling okay. It's a little bit more difficult getting up the hills. I might have to go at like a snail's pace or even hop off the bike and walk it a little bit, but everything is still beautiful. It was the end of April, so all of these pink and purple flowers were in bloom all along the sides of the road, and the part of the path that we were biking was just really gorgeous. This is a really, really beautiful bike ride, but I really liked around the 20-kilometer mark. I really enjoyed how everything looked. And then we stopped at this gelato shop, and they had orange flavored gelato because of Ehime, and they had a lot of lemons. We started seeing lemons at this point. And so I got a half orange, half lemon gelato to help round out my diet with orange and lemon flavored products, onigiri, and a lot of Pocari Sweat, which is the Japanese energy drink with a great name. So there must have been over 100 bikers at this gelato shop. It seemed like the place to be, like everyone was here. And then after stopping for ice cream, I would say, is when the bike ride started to get a little bit more difficult. Every little incline, I could kind of feel it a little bit. My legs were getting a little bit sore. That not exercising for months thing really was kind of catching up to me. So I really just wanted there to be another nice long stretch of road. Something easy, but I swear it was like we could be going up a quarter of an inch and my legs were like, it's an incline. And I feel like it was just hills and hills and hills. And when we got to about this part, I feel like the bridges were everywhere and the inclines to the bridges were much higher. I know that they were high the whole time. Going from the road to the bridge, you did have to go like up a lot, but at about after we passed that halfway point, like it really was starting to hurt. But all hell broke loose at kilometer 50. Kilometer 50 is when my friend and I turned to each other and we were like, we have to go for another 20 kilometers after this? Are you sure? Are we? It broke us. Something inside of us broke at the 50-kilometer mark. It was excruciating. It was so difficult biking after that, and I had to like get off my bike anytime we had to go up a hill and walk it. It was so painful. And we took a couple of like silly photos of me where I like looked like a dead body on the ground. Although there were some really good signs at this point in the bike ride, but it wasn't fun anymore at that point. There was a reason why so many websites had said, oh, break it into two days. You can have two very leisurely days doing this. And in retrospect, 2 days would have been great because it was after the point where all the sane people had left that I felt like I was dying. Like my legs were going numb, but they were also still in pain, and it was really difficult. And I wish I had split the bike into 2 days, but I wanted to say I did it in 1 day. I did the whole Shimanami Kaido bike route in 1 day. It was really hard. And so we keep going, and finally we hit that 10-kilometer left point. We're like, oh, okay. And we get this little second wind, and we feel better, and we're going along, and then we see it. The big, beautiful bridge. It's huge and gorgeous, and the sun was starting to set, and I was like, this is worth it. This is great. Like, I am in a lot of pain right now, but this is really, really beautiful. and we're coming up on the finish line, and we did it. We did it. We're gonna have accomplished this whole 70-kilometer crazy journey. We have passed the end of the bridge. We start flying down the hill. Finally, this bridge ramp is going down, and we have this beautiful, trusted blue line that we have had the entire 70 kilometers, guiding us to what we think is the end point of the trail, and will bring us to the ferry. And the ferry will take us all the way back. And we had a little bit of trouble when we tried to look earlier in the day finding the ferry times, but we figured we just gotta get going. We gotta get going. We can't like stop and spend forever on our phones trying to look up the ferry times. Like, somebody will be there to help us. Somebody will be there to help us. This is a big popular path. Somebody's gonna tell us where to catch the ferry. There was no ferry. We made up the ferry. The ferry was not real. In my mind, you'd bike the whole thing, come down here, and then the magic ferry would take you right back here. There was no ferry. So we had biked down the bridge, down the path. We just stopped. We stopped because we had gone for, I'd say, another kilometer or so. We see this man in like a full biking suit, and we're like, oh, stop, stop. And so we ask him, we're like, do you know how to get back to Onomichi? And he didn't speak any English. We were just so confused and we didn't know what to do, but luckily we had our bike rental form because we were just trying to figure out, first of all, where do we drop off the bikes? Second of all, how do we get back to our car? Both were very important. Thank goodness for this guy. He was so nice. He took our form, he called, and then he pulled up on Google Maps on his phone and told us how to get back to where we were going, which unfortunately was back up the hill, back towards where the end of the bridge was. We had gone right past the place we were supposed to return our bikes. So we thank him and we start walking the bikes back up the hill. And by the time we get there, like, the sun is setting at this point. It is late. It is late, and we know we are like really pushing it for being able to return our bikes, because by the time we walk in, everything's closed. The food is closed. There's one person working at the desk, and we're able to say, oh, we can return the bikes. We did that on time. We were glad. And we say, okay, how do we get back to Onomichi? And she says, oh, you can take the bus back. And we're like, okay, what times are the buses? And she looks down and she's like, there's one bus left today, and it leaves in 20 minutes. And we're like, oh my God. Well, okay, 20 minutes, like that's fine. Is the bus stop right outside? No. No, the bus stop is not right outside. The bus stop is a 25-minute walk up the hill, a decent portion across that bridge. So she looks at us and we're like, is there a taxi? Is there a shuttle? And no, because this is like on the bridge. You can't just like pull over on the bridge. And she's like, you should get going now. So we are just like, oh my God. Like, we were so tired and we were so dumb. We had already biked way more than we were supposed to in our mission to find this non-existent ferry. So we are like trying to walk, run, and limp. Really, it was a lot of limping that was happening on this journey to get back up the hill. I'm looking at my Maps app and I'm like, there's no way. If there's one thing I know about Japan, it is that the public transportation in Japan runs like clockwork. The bus was going to get there 3 minutes before we were going to get there. We physically couldn't run at this point. I'm walking and I'm looking at the road and I'm like, okay, if the bus comes, I'm gonna like flail my arms in front of it. I'm not letting this bus leave us because this is the only bus back. We have no other way to get back. We're down here. We have to go all the way back. It's long. It took us so many hours to bike. We're going and we're trying to like limp run, and one of us will take over and the other one will go, and it was so difficult, and I was just looking for this bus, and we finally get there 3 minutes after the bus is supposed to leave, and magically it pulls up and we throw ourselves into that bus, lean back in the seat, and just like look at each other like, oh my God. Did today happen? How are we alive? How are we on this bus? How did we do this? What happened? We just sat comatose in that bus for the entire bus ride. We had no food on us. We were starving. We were so hungry. And I felt so tired. And I was wondering why I felt so tired, and I found out when we got back to the parking garage. I looked in the mirror and I was completely sunburned, like really, really charred. When I took off my sports shirt, I looked like something out of Attack on Titan. It was so bad how different my skin was from red to white. But the day doesn't end there. No. Remember how I mentioned earlier that the hotels were a big issue? Well, there was nothing that night, and there was nobody canceling their plans for that night. So we were desperate. We went back to the hotel we had stayed at the night before. It was like a small family-run hotel. We were like, hey, is there anything? Is there anything? And he knew. We looked awful. We were sweaty, we were sunburnt, we were limping. He looks around and he tries to see what he can do, and he's like, actually, I have a place. It wasn't in the hotel, but it was a hotel like room kind of across this like little hallway thing we walked through, and I was like, thank you. Thank you for letting us stay here. Thank you for not making us sleep in the car. Thank you for letting us be able to take a shower, because we really needed showers. And this man, he was so kind and so wonderful, and we will never forget how great he was to us. He was the hero of that day. So that is my story of how not to bike the Shimanami Kaido. Here are my 5 helpful tips. Number 1. Book your hotel in advance. Number 2, book your bike in advance. Number 3, split your journey into 2 days. Number 4, look up the bus timetable. And number 5, wear sunscreen. Looking back on it, I wouldn't change anything. I really had a great time that day. I loved doing it, and we did it in one day. Actually, no, I would wear sunscreen. The one thing I would change is I would wear sunscreen. I love the Shimanami Kaido. I highly recommend you do it. Proof that you can do it in one day if you're unathletic, but really strongly suggest 2 days. Have fun, enjoy yourself, relax. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And let me know what you thought.